What does Zyn give you? Not just smoke-free nicotine satisfaction, but real freedom. Freedom to do what you love and choose your rewards. With Zyn Rewards, you can redeem points for premium tech, outdoor gear, and gift cards to your favorite retailers. Find your Zyn and keep finding rewards that fit your lifestyle at zyn.com/rewards. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Now's a good time to remember where tequila's story truly began. In 1795, Cuervo invented tequila.
Cuervo.
What are you doing here?
Cuervo. Anytime someone says Cuervo, I show up.
Well, I do know that to be true, but even during ad reads, like...
Cuervo.
I think you could lay out, especially for one of our great partners.
Sweet, delicious Cuervo.
Since then, Cuervo has stayed true to its roots. The same family, the same land, the same passion.
Cuervo.
So, enjoy the tequila that started it all. Cuervo.
Cuervo.
The tequila that invented tequila. Proximo. Cuervo.com. Please drink responsibly.
Cuervo. Can we have a private conversation about your son's job performance?
Sure.
So, the last couple of times that he has been asked to show judgment, it hasn't been great.
Mm.
But that's my fault, not his.
Uh-huh.
I know what I married.
You seem to be blaming him.
No, I know what I married, but I'm going to blame him for something now, and I want your help in knowing how to navigate it. So we signed this big DraftKings deal, and it's got gambling elements to it where we're picking games for people. And your son is aggressively bad at it. Like but I mean, not just bad at it because he says Trevor Rogers stinks and then Trevor Rogers throws 15 straight scoreless innings. But yesterday, his advice was Zach Gallen, avoid him. He's lost it. And Zach Gallen's last two starts now, he's got 13 innings pitched, 1 earned run, and 19 strikeouts. I mean, he is... We need to be good at the gambling stuff, right. And his information is bad, and the only way that people will win is if they choose opposite what he's picking, because his information is bad and then the pick is disastrous. We can't, how are we supposed to stay in business that way?
Well, in and of itself, though, isn't the reverse curse in effect? In other words, whatever Christopher is suggesting people bet, if he's on a bad run, they bet the opposite, and then they're winning, and then he's a hero.
Yeah, but that's not how we've been doing it.
I like that, though.
You know, I mean, it's a method. It's a methodology. You know, everybody wants to pick the guy with all the information who's always right. But if you pick the guy who's always wrong, in a way, that's just as valuable. Right?
I agree.
Yeah. He picks Zach Gallen.
Fade him.
Fade him. Right. Pick the other guy. Pick the other pitcher. Pick the other.
Well, then why don't we present it that way? Then our audience would be winning. Then it wouldn't be our picks are bad and our information's bad. Then at least we could be funny. At least we could be self-deprecating. But your take yesterday on gambling information was Zach Gallen has lost it. And he struck out 19 hitters in his last 13 innings and allowed 1 run.
Wow, that's pretty good. Go Zach.
But I mean, and then again, Trevor Rogers, our analysis was his ERA has been 5 since we've known him. And then against the Rangers twice, he holds them scoreless.
See, I get that, though. That's the beauty of gambling. You know, part of it is, all right, Zach Gallen's been on a heater. He's due for a bad start. So,
no, but that's not what he said.
Well, tune in next week to see if the heater continues.
Yeah, there you go.
He said Zach Gallen has lost it. He used to be good, and he's lost it. And then you know what he went with? You, Darvish.
This is the Dan Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
Zaslow, beloved new member of our weird family here. When you hear Chris Cody and Greg Cody argue like that during the break and feel the tension as you sit between them, and a lot of people think that Chris is very mean to his father on the Greg Cody Show featuring Greg Cody. He side with his father. What do you experience? Because you've often said that you don't know what's real around here and what's not real either. And now you're in the middle of the family dynamic, and you just saw them chirping at each other back and forth. And I've seen that escalate over time into them physically manhandling each other.
They put hands on each other.
Yes, they wrestle around and they grab each other's elbows. And Greg is not to be trifled with here. Greg.
Grab each other's elbows.
Yeah, because you're holding your dad back.
Greco-Roman.
Leverage.
Because you know, you know what I mean. Your dad. You got to hold him.
I'm lotioned up, so it's hard to get me.
You don't want to hurt him. You just hold him back. But you just saw it. What you were just witness to. What do you make of it?
Well, it makes me wonder if I'm the one who's weird, because at my age, at this point in my life, I don't have like arguments with my father. Like, we're both adults, and it makes me wonder, am I the weird one there that we don't have arguments and we don't go at each other like that?
I'm not even asking you about the family dynamic as much as I'm asking you what they were specifically arguing about, which is just Chris telling his dad, a professional broadcaster, Dad, the microphone, put it in front of your mouth.
Well, he has told him. I mean, I hear dozens of times every day. What's so hard about following directions?
Yeah, directions. The mic there's an obsession with microphones around here.
You're on radio.
I don't know. Yeah, it's a podcast. I don't know whether that's common in this business or not, but to me,
Greg, you think you've got it right and broadcasting has it wrong?
I don't think anybody is not hearing me now because I'm 2 inches back. Oh, I can't be 2 inches back. I got to be like this.
Well, we've angled it differently. Now it picks it up more.
Can you imagine he's on television? Oh, it's an obsession with cameras.
Yes, that's right. The camera moves. The camera follows me. The microphone doesn't. I think that's an issue with the technology of this whole business.
None of our cameras move, and the microphone doesn't need to come to you. You need to come to the microphone. Broadcasting doesn't need to come to you because you're reinventing it. You need to come over to where broadcasting has been.
Maybe it needs reinventing. You know, the cameraman, there's a phrase called the cameraman. You know, there's no one swiveling in here. The cameras don't move. Okay.
Greg, there's a difference between being heard and being heard clearly. Wow. And when you go backwards, you're not being heard clearly.
That's real reprimand. That's real reprimand from our sound guy. How often do you ever stand down? Do you ever concede, I got this wrong?
I do.
Gimmick, dude.
No, I do.
Let me ask you, Greg, are you growing a mustache or have you just shaven poorly the last few days?
I'm cultivating what is a potential mustache.
I want to get into the number of things that we have going on locally because there are a lot of them, okay? Put on the back burner, Messi's amazing goal and Zlatan saying last week that he plays with statues. And there wasn't a compliment to picturesque, statuesque players like Ronaldo. He was saying, no, these are players that are just statues. Put that off to the side for a second. Put the Marlins' 10 straight wins on the road off to the side for a second. Put the Dolphins and Asante Samuel Sr. and what he had to say, which was a rip job coming from a football name that has some clout that you don't often hear directed at Dolphins management and taking personal shots at Dolphin management. I want to start with what I thought yesterday was the appropriate amount of enthusiasm for a local show for the Norman Powell trade, where we immediately made fun of the name Norman Powell and how hard it is to be a great athlete when your name's Norm, or specifically Norman. It's hard. And Chris Cody underestimated this person based on only his name. A Norman can only be so intimidating, and we said it was a good trade, and I thought showed the proper enthusiasm for the Heat getting better without losing anything of value. Clearly getting somebody on everybody watching basketball would say that Danny Ainge did what he does, and the Heat wins that trade because Norman Powell is a very good player on an expiring contract. That's what you want. The enthusiasm has now climbed to a place, though, where Zaslow is already willing to say that he knows that there are only 3 teams better than Miami in the East, and Boston's not one of them. It's Cleveland, and it's Orlando, and it's the Knicks. And that's what he says, the only 3 he knows, which is now, after this trade, what that suggests is the volume is being turned down from Flames engulfing Pat Riley to, wait, what? They're a 4 seed? You guys are going to try and talk yourself into the enthusiasm of Norman Powell makes them a 4 seed? And so now this excerpt from Greg Cody's column today. The Miami Heat won Monday's 3-team NBA trade with the Clippers and Jazz, and it isn't open to debate. Pat Riley sat at the poker table, picturing him in dark shades, and never smiled once until he stood up with all of the chips and a needed reminder of that familiar old mojo. The Godfather is still around, still able to pick your pocket.
That's correct. I stand by. I stand
yeah,
by.
but you made
got you back.
Yeah, but you made it a mafioso who is now just taking nickels out of your
Yes.
pocket. Like
Yeah.
this isn't like a
was a
pickpocket is not like a pickpocket is the appropriate way to appraise this trade.
It was a pickpocket win on the trade because the trade worked for them both ways. It got them a quality player who makes the team appreciably better, and they also got rid of dead wood. It would have only been better had they been able to divest of Terry Rozier as well.
I want to hear from Mike and Zaslow on this because I think pickpocket is good, and the problem is that Mike and Zaslow want only a heist. Like in terms of what they want from the Godfather and the crime family, they don't want pickpockets.
Falsehoods. I wanted what we saw. Congratulations to Nick Harrison. Brilliant trade.
What do you mean congratulations, Nick Harrison?
I mean, Dan opened the door. I don't know who's in charge anymore. So let's, before we give the Godfather all the credit, this could have been a Nick Harrison move.
All
because
five
it was
of
a
them. Good job.
It was a great job. Heat brain trust. That's all we wanted. A move to get better. And look inside this Eastern Conference. Now you have Zach Lowe saying now it's a rhetorical trick, saying, look, they're the 4 seed now, when over the last 4 years, I think the difference between the 4 and 10 seeds have been 1.5 games.
But that's just Zach Lowe, though, that is Zach Lowe not moving in the last 6 months off of his position, that if you give the Heat a little bit, they will wring the very best out of it. It's a league-wide fear that he's expressing based on respect for what it is.
Especially on that network, no doubt. But that is precisely why we've wanted the Heat to make improvements, because you have the greatest head coach, arguably of all time. And if you give him more, the results will be better. So I'm glad that they made this move and they got better as everyone else in the Eastern Conference started to make moves and look like they had a plan. So I'm really happy with it.
My favorite part of the trade, and they got a borderline all-star. Like, if you remember, Norman Powell probably should have been an all-star last year. They got a borderline all-star for nothing. Did I need to see Kyle Anderson in my life any longer? No. So they got him for really nothing, okay? But the thing that I liked about that trade yesterday, it's not that we know the Heat's MO is to get the whale, to get the really big superstar player. The move that I've wanted the Heat to make is I see these other trades over the last couple years, like take Indiana, who we just saw in the finals, for instance, and they trade for Pascal Siakam a couple years ago, and it's like they gave up nothing. And I'm like, the Heat couldn't do that? Like, I want the Heat to make the trade where they get a good player for nothing. And finally, yesterday, they got the good player for nothing. So I feel good about it.
Yeah, and one of the things I wrote in the column is that, and Mike just alluded to it, to me, they rise appreciably from play-in purgatory to a position where they can compete for home court in the first round of the playoffs and win a first-round playoff game. Now, if your standard is, they missed out on Kevin Durant, they don't even have a chance for Giannis, they're not a championship contender right now.
Who is that?
Then that's the complaining Heat fan. Then you're not impressed with Norman Powell. But if you're looking micro instead of macro, this is an appreciably better team in a very mixed. To me, you mentioned Orlando. To me, after Cleveland and the Knicks, it's wide open for number 3.
This ignores Detroit. It ignores Atlanta.
It doesn't ignore them.
You can't ignore.
It puts them with them.
I still think they got to do something else, but it does check a lot of the boxes, and I actually do think it helps your pursuit of getting a star player. I think that their trade assets now after this move are better. Powell is a player that you can throw into a deal and not get met with scrutiny and the ringers of the world saying your package is garbage. This is a player of repute.
The ringers of the world, I don't think it was necessary to say it that way.
It was super necessary.
I also think that you will get nowhere in your coverage today. I believe this firmly. I will say it aggressively in any language. No one will say of Norman Powell anywhere in analysis a player of repute. That's only here. That only happens here. You get a player of repute. That is the highest compliment. Pat Riley critic and Mike Ryan, Miami
I went to
critic.
NBC.
Let me just stop you guys a couple of times, though. You just said flippantly, Eric Spoelstra, arguably of all time.
I was like, whoa.
Best coach of all time. You threw the arguably in there. You can't just skip past that, running past that with
Arguably, yeah. Arguably greatest head coach of all time. Wow.
Look.
I mean, that's top 5 conversation, yeah?
I think it was weird that he said arguably.
I thought the appropriate level of enthusiasm for this trade is that, yes, Norman Powell makes you better. He is a very good player, and he was very good last year. He's a very efficient player. But now you've got $65 million in expiring contracts for free agency, and you kept saying they got a 20-point-a-game scorer. You kept saying 4-0. I really do wonder how Kevin Love feels about the Miami years.
He's voiced it.
The way you guys do that, where you just keep shipping him off and calling him nothing again and again. I get it. I get it.
I mean, he or his social media manager said, like, I never thought I'd be a math equation.
Okay,
Right.
but so I find it interesting that it took Norman Powell to bring the flames down on this conversation. To
Just
make
winning a trade. That's what it is.
Yeah,
That's it?
That's yes. That's what we've been pounding the
Something
table.
positive.
Do something.
Hey, you did something good.
To improve the team. Give your head coach a chance. Improve the team instead of standing idly by or actually making moves that make you worse while your competition gets better. Make a move. Make a move to let everybody know that you're not just going to stay stagnant.
All right, the move was trading Duncan Robinson for Norman Powell.
Well,
that's a big time upgrade.
it is a big time upgrade.
Not as a
and-
three-point shooter. It's
Yes,
not.
He's a damn good three-point shooter. You watch her.
Wait a minute.
Damn good.
No, I thought, hold on a second. Hold on. Norman Powell he shot 42% from three last year.
That's really good.
And he's better than Duncan Robinson. You guys are just dismissing Duncan Robinson, though, as if he weren't important to the Heat.
Oh, but wait, whoa, you just moved the goalpost at a record amount there. You said that this wasn't a better three-point shooter, and he is a better three-point shooter,
better.
and he's available, and he ain't scared.
You can't be scared.
Oh, here we go.
Norman Powell's has shot 42% on threes since 2021. So it's over a long period of time.
It's 7 threes a game. Yes,
That's good, man.
You guys are saying that you have made your team appreciably better. And if I started this offseason by simply telling you, hey, listen, you know where they're going to go? It's going to be run it back again, but they're just going to trade Duncan for Norman Powell. You good?
Yes.
That's better.
I don't think you.
We're talking.
I don't think you're
Absolutely.
good.
Like, that's a start. It's a start.
Duncan Robinson, to me, never lived up to his contract here. He was
Ever.
overpaid. He was inconsistent. He didn't really rise in the biggest moments. He didn't lift the team.
I don't think that's fair.
to me,
to say
he was a
that.
spare
We've been
part.
appropriately called out on this, and so have I. Like, look, Duncan Robinson, this is a strange thing to talk about because people want to cape up for him as if there weren't games that he just didn't, like, play. He was out of the rotation for a lot of their runs. He got his job stolen. There's a reason why he's kind of fallen out of favor. But don't forget the Duncan Robinson game. There was a Duncan Robinson game in that run to the finals against the Denver Nuggets. He was your boy. I think game 2, and then the one in the gentleman's sweep that we had, Duncan Robinson showed
Yeah,
up.
he had big moments in very big games. I don't think we're being fair.
Okay.
Shot for your life.
Okay. A real quick comment about Norman Powell. Last season in the NBA, he was one of only 6 players who scored that many points a game, who shot 48% or better from the field, and who shot 40% or better from threes. That's pretty good.
I'm not disputing any of this. I am simply telling you guys to please hear yourselves as a national show that has now changed its entire voice because of a Norman Powell trade, that if we were sitting here the last 10 days and Norman Powell had gone to any other team in the league, you would be mocking whatever it is that team thinks it's become by adding merely Norman Powell, who you now have going from a play-in team that was 10 games under 500 to somewhere in the middle of the conference where they would have to be 10 games over 500. And if I told you, would trading Duncan Robinson for Norman Powell be that different, you would tell me no.
I don't know if it would be 10 games over. I don't think that's the goal, especially with all the
But I'm
injuries
saying,
in the Eastern
no, but
Conference.
if you're the 4 seed, you're 10 to 15 games over 500. If you're the 4 seed in that conference.
I don't know
Not
what
necessarily.
I don't know what the East is going to look like. I think it's going to be a bit of a mess, like it has been the last few years. And if another team made a move to acquire Norman Powell for essentially what the Heat gave up, I would also be very mad that the Heat once again are standing idly by. Let me give you a stat courtesy of Synergy Basketball. Norman Powell was the 6th most efficient scorer in the NBA among 68 players who used over 18 possessions per game this season. He shot 45% on movement three-point attempts and 40% spotting up. This is a really good player. He's a good shooter, and thankfully they gave their great head coach something to work with.
Duncan Robinson has been under 40% shooting for the last 4 seasons, and you guys both went to SCURD, which is the biggest public indictment that
Got
you
to.
can make because during slumps it was clear to everybody watching that he didn't want to shoot so much.
This is not a theory. It's that he lost his job because Max Strus would not stop shooting, where Duncan Robinson would very obviously to the eye not take the shots.
Oh, I didn't call him scared. I'm just saying you can't be scared. Everybody knows you can't be scared.
But you were saying he was scared.
No, I just said it's ambiguous.
It's not. It wasn't ambiguous.
The Heat told you he was scared.
No,
the Heat told you by him falling out of the rotation.
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to Zaz. You accused him of being scared. You did it.
Disagree. Do you need me to make a ruling here? I mean, I'm just saying.
You can't rule for yourself.
Nip this right in the bud.
Okay, no, yes, if you want, you're the judge. Yes, you can make a ruling,
Yeah.
but this seems unfair. It seems like a conflict of interest.
You don't get to decide what's fair or not fair in my courtroom. Find you out of order.
This is what America's starting to feel like everywhere. You're going to make the ruling.
Yeah.
Even though you've got a clear conflict of interest.
Was I calling Duncan Robinson scared, or was it completely ambiguous? It was ambiguous. With prejudice.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. With prejudice.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks, Greg.
No, once you go, there was Duncan Robinson's name, and then I heard as the undertow to it, scared. You volunteered it, and Mike was so ready to notarize it back there.
It sounds like you're attempting to retry the case, and that's not going to happen.
All right,
Double
fine.
jeopardy.
All right.
All we have is the results, both the ruling and the fact that he fell out of the rotation for being scared.
Fair enough. I lose. I don't want to risk contempt of court, but I do have contempt for the court in this respect. Zaslow is fitting in a little too well. I don't know what he brought in here into the room for breakfast. I just saw so much icing on it. I'm assuming it was cake. I don't know what it was.
Cream cheese.
Oh my God! What kind of mountain of cream
I like
cheese?
a good slab of cream
Hell
cheese.
yeah, dude.
I thought that was icing on a cake.
You know what it is? In my house, in the Zaslow mansion, we have whipped cream cheese, okay? But I prefer the block.
The good stuff.
I prefer the block. And you guys here, I love this spread. It's my I wake up in the morning. I'm tired when I wake up. And the thing that gets me out of bed, there's going to be a great spread today in the studios in the Elster Hotel. And I get here, and you guys got the good cream cheese. I'm taking advantage of that. I put a block of that baby on my bagel.
I legitimately thought
Icing?
From
On a bagel?
No, I thought it was a piece
thought it
of
was eating
cake.
cake.
I thought
Cinnamon roll for breakfast?
Eats cake for breakfast.
You know what? I won't knock it till I try it, actually.
Guys, like you guys are missing the point here. I'm clearly shocked with who eats cake for breakfast. Well, Zaslow does, because from my eyes with the lighting in here, what he had done is piled so high the cream cheese
Took advantage.
that I thought it was a giant layer of icing on the top of a birthday cake. It was Juju's birthday yesterday. Hold on a second. Let me see this. I got to find this somewhere. Okay.
Happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
And I thought you had a piece of cake. And it's not unreasonable because it looked like a piece of cake.
But did you think I was having a piece of cake for Juju?
No. Because no one would put that much cream cheese on a bagel is my point.
Someone who doesn't get the block of cream cheese very often would.
The Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is sponsored by BetterHelp. It's summer, and if you're feeling overwhelmed at work, trust me, you're not alone. I mean, you guys see where I work. 61% of people globally are dealing with higher than normal stress. That's a lot of us, guys. Now, we can't all disappear to the beach and hit reset, but we can take small steps. For me, I take walks, I soak up some sun, unplug for 30 seconds, don't answer Dan's text messages, and that usually tends to help. And sometimes you need a little bit more. That's where BetterHelp comes in. Whether it's learning boundaries, managing stress, or just talking things out, therapy can help you feel more like you. BetterHelp has over 30,000 therapists, and they've helped over 5 million people. It's all online, super flexible, and you can switch therapists at any time. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/DLB. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/DLB. All right. Breathe, and back to the show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike. Down here in South Florida, as the audience well knows, we've been celebrating a proper championship, and we've been enjoying every minute of it. And by my side throughout that entire championship celebration has been Miller Lite. Yeah, I wanted to make my championship time a Miller time because much like most of the fun memories I've had as an adult, Miller Lite has been right there by my side, supplementing every experience. And now that I'm about to travel during the summer, you can rest assured I'm going to be having plenty of Miller Lite along the way, because that's what summer's all about. And since 1975, Miller Lite has been right there in all those memories for you listening right now. It's the 50th anniversary of Miller Lite. That's 50 years of great taste, great friends, great moments. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you, or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Cheers to 50 years of Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Hey friends, the summer's here. That means more sun, it means more light, it means more time to do all the things that make summer so special all around the country. And the number one thing that I don't want to be doing all summer is spending hours cooking inside. That's where Factor comes in. Factor's chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals are ready in just 2 minutes, taking the hassle out of eating well. Factor meals arrive fresh and ready to eat. They're perfect for any active lifestyle over summer and beyond. For me, guys, I use Factor as a meal supply for me literally all the time. I just recently ordered 7 different meals, and it got me over the course of a couple of different weeks. I had the grilled teriyaki salmon that was really delicious. I had some roasted garlic chicken. There was a chicken cacciatore. Every single time that I think maybe this one isn't for me, it ends up being as good, if not better, than any version of that meal I've ever tried. I love Factor meals. So you should get started at factormeals.com/Dan50off. And use code DAN50OFF to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code DAN50OFF at factormeals.com/Dan50off for 50% off plus free shipping. Factormeals.com/Dan50off.
Don Le Batard.
All right, we got to go back out there. That was big. Wake him up.
He doesn't want to be bothered anymore. Now it's getting tense because he didn't need that as a result. He needs something that happens.
You can see him mother effing on it. He says, "Can we bother? Are we bothering you right now?"
Turn on your microphone, Greg.
My microphone's on.
Stugotz.
Paint the scene.
Paint the scene is I got to go to work. Good night.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
The other thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about before I get to the Marlins winning 10 straight on the road is Asante Samuel Sr. on a podcast called, thankfully, Say What Needs to Be Said.
What do you think that podcast is about?
I don't know. I don't know who hosts this podcast. I do know we're running out of names in the podcast industry. I do know that I want to hear someone say what needs to be said. And evidently, Asante Samuel Sr., whose son would help the Dolphins right now. Mina Kimes on NFL Live yesterday. They spent a whole segment yesterday just saying how terrible the Dolphins are, how mediocre they are, and Mina Kimes just finished it with they've got no corners. They've got the worst corners in the league. So they could use Asante. Now that they've traded Jalen Ramsey, they cannot cover people. And that's not good. Like that, I don't need to tell you that having the worst corners in the league, they're hard to come by. And they've had that as security the last few years. Greg, you've lived in this town long enough to have this town hate 4 or 5 or 6 cornerbacks. We haven't had one of them in the last few years.
Right, that's true. Also, let's not mistake Asante Samuel Jr. for his father. They're not the same player. Asante Samuel was very good. 4 or 5 Pro Bowls.
Senior,
the original. Junior, he's never made a Pro Bowl. He's coming off a neck injury. He missed almost all of last season. He might not even be healthy for training camp. I mean, there are, he's not the be-all, end-all of if they acquire him.
Understood. I wasn't saying he's the be-all, end-all. I'm saying Mina Kimes is saying they've got the worst corners in the league, and this is a weird story on a number of fronts. One of the corners they would be interested in, it would make sense, is the son of a man who's going on a podcast that says what needs to be said. Can you find me the hosts of that, please? And I do want to talk with you guys what podcast names are still available in sports, because I think they've all been taken.
Not the hockey show. That's on me, baby.
That's right. That is taken though. You got that space. No one else had the hockey show.
Nobody else has the Greg Cody show.
I find the hockey show hard to believe.
That no one else.
I feel like someone thought of that.
Show.
There's multiple hockey shows out there.
Yes.
It is hosted by Asante Samuel.
Okay.
It's his podcast.
Okay, it's his. So he is saying what needs to be said. No one else is saying this except fans and Big Mac in the carport. It's let's play the sound that needs to be said that is more personal than I'm expecting from a retired NFL player. What is it? A player of repute.
Had no reason to trade Jalen Ramsey other than they're sensitive. There's no leadership in the Dolphins organization. Mike McDaniels is a pushover. Chris Greer, the general manager, he has no backbone. These guys over here, the Miami Dolphins, they are running this team like a little league team. No one can stand up to the players. They're terrified of their own players, and they have no control over their players.
That is unbelievable thing to say.
Well, so it needs to be said.
Who does he think he is? Keith Kachuk? You remember that? When Keith Kachuk called Paul Maurice the P word pretty much?
No backbone, pushover, no leadership, little league team, no control, intimidated, terrified of the players. How does he know any of that?
He doesn't. You know what? I think there's something behind this story. And first of all, Asante, the Dolphin head coach's name has no S on the end. It's McDaniel. The Dolphins had big interest.
Zaslow, why did you make that face?
It's just funny.
Because he got his ass.
You one-upped him, Greg.
Thank you. The Dolphin. I'm particular about that. If I were named McDaniel and somebody called me McDaniels, that would be like putting two G's on the end of Greg. You don't stand for it. You comment on it every time. You correct it every time. The Dolphins had big interest in his son. Listen to what I'm saying.
It's tough to tell, though, like if someone puts two G's on Greg when they say it. It's tough to know.
It is tough to know. But,
it's impossible.
But if you see it written, if somebody sends me an email and misspells my name, you think I'm going to answer that email? Hell no.
Wow.
Okay. The Dolphins had big interest in Junior.
I feel like you would answer.
Okay. Sooner or later, I'm going to be able to say this without being interrupted. The Dolphins had, because this explains, perhaps, his father's volatile take. The Dolphins had big interest in his son in May, sort of fizzled out. That interest ebbed for whatever reason. Now, a couple of months later, Dad's coming back on his podcast and saying what a lousy team the Dolphins are with no leadership, possibly because they weren't interested enough in his son to sign him, and possibly because coming off a neck injury, interest in Asante Samuel Jr. is not flying off the charts.
Is it going to go up, though, with him? Like, is any team now going to be like, oh, I want to bring in his son since he's just going to do this? I feel like it doesn't help him anyway, either with the Dolphins or other teams.
I would think not.
There you go. Talk through the cough button.
I'm sorry, I can't do everything at once. I'm sorry, I muffled a cough and I said probably not. Certainly not going to help his son's cause. I hear that.
You said flying off the charts?
Yeah. That's a music phrase.
Is it?
Yeah. Like if your song is blowing up the charts, you know, it rose on the Billboard charts from number 38 to number 4.
But that's flying up the charts. You said flying off the charts.
Yeah, same thing.
Oh, okay. Sorry, yeah. I didn't know. I'm not trying to nitpick. I know It sounds like it, but I was trying to figure out what you were saying. Yeah. Whether it was flying, whether something was flying off the shelves, or whether it was flying up the chart.
Well, I'm the kind of guy who invents idioms. You know, I originate a lot of phrases and sayings that become well said.
Do you fly off the chart or off the handle?
Well, those are two different things.
Okay, so you can do both.
Yeah, flying off the handle means losing your temper. Flying off the charts means, interest is extreme. Success is extreme.
So you're saying that there's something fishy here with this criticism. How much are you guys buying on what he's suggesting there, that this is a scorned father in defense of his son? Greg Cody would recognize that behavior.
I don't know how Asante Samuel Sr. knows anything about the inner workings of the Dolphins, yet I think he's accurate with everything he's saying.
Well, this is the commonly held belief, and it's just because McDaniel's nebbish.
It's so wild, the perception change, because the first couple years it was like everyone loves it, players, coach, fun, relatable,
But
and
it's
then
also-
we have a couple bad seasons, and it's no one takes him serious.
But physically, I wonder how much. I don't even know whether these people know what Chris Greer looks like. Not that I'm not. So we're just nerding them. That's what we're doing to them. Like that, we're saying they can't control these players because the players are clearly the players who are also accused of being soft are too tough for this management team. And this management team is viewed as soft. What kind of criticism is that? Like, honestly, in that sport? I understand that people think that the Dolphins are a finesse team because they're a scheme team, but it's also the most excited we've been about the Dolphins in 25 years that they schemed their way to something because they had speed for a minute. Like, you're not going to try and convince me that the way that they were playing football wasn't the exciting way to play football here. Their quarterback got injured. They took a chance in a window that was small, and now it's costing them some of their named players, so they look mediocre and desperate when they get Darren Waller. But we're just going to dismiss this executive team because the fan base thinks they're mediocre. The team's mediocre, and that these two guys are bookworms or accountants?
I think we retrofit how we feel about a head coach based solely on results. And Mike mentioned Keith Kachuk using the P word to refer to Paul Maurice. Maurice might be referred to as nebbish or a nerd. Guess what? Then he wins two Stanley Cups in a row. Nobody's calling him that anymore. Now he's a genius. Mike McDaniel was a genius for 1 year. Got to be a genius for 1 year. They scored 70 points against Denver. Then injuries happen. Then other stuff happens. And now we're calling into question his leadership and the culture around him. Something else needs to be said about the Jalen Ramsey
Then
story.
say it.
About how he
It
left.
does need to be said.
About how he left.
Say
that
what
club.
needs to be said.
Jalen Ramsey, according to a story in the Sun Sentinel today, was traded in part because he was a real problem last season. He was late for meetings. He himself was the opposite of leadership. He was undermining McDaniel and Greer fairly openly, and other players were going along with him, and that became very corrosive. I don't know if Asante Samuel, the podcaster, knows that or not.
Florio makes the opposite accusation of Minkah Fitzpatrick in Pittsburgh, saying that he was running afoul of everyone in Pittsburgh. So this is what happens when players get traded. All of a sudden, some more honesty comes out. But before we get to a game that I want to play here with Mike Ryan that goes over podcast names, and thank you for saying what needed to be said.
Thank you.
You said in the middle of what you were saying, and you do this when you're feeling yourself, guess what? You're like, and guess what? Paul Maurice is a two-time champion.
Right.
That guess what? Can we make a game around that? Because he loves doing this. This is his move. When he's talking down to you, listener, who thought he couldn't guess what was coming next. Guess what? Champion 2 times. You hit him with the guess what. I bet you there's not a podcast called Guess What, and I think we should start. I think we should start it with Greg Cody, because there is you being arrogant, you pointing, because what you did is you had the poker hand, the nuts there. You're like, you talk badly about Paul Maurice. Well, he's won 2 straight championships.
Yeah.
Guess what?
Sure, yeah, you're right. I mean, that's unscripted.
Guess what already exists.
Damn it.
Which leads me to my brand new game. Hit it, Roy. Real podcast or fake?
Oh, I like this game.
Is it sports category? Is it everything?
Oh, yeah, it's sports. First one up. It Be Like That with Jason Terry. Real podcast or fake?
You throw that name in there, and I just feel like it's real.
Changes it, right?
It authenticates it.
It Be Like That with Jason Terry. Real podcast
Yeah. I'm gonna say,
or fake?
I'm going to say that that's real, but I'm not going to feel good about I'm almost scared to admit honestly that I think that's real.
Any other votes? Any
I
other
vote
guesses?
no. I vote no.
I'm going no. I don't think it's real.
Well, it's the safer bet. You guys are out here, and I'm making the dangerous bet.
It Be Like That with Jason Terry. Not a real podcast.
Yeah.
Next one up.
Now look at me.
Buckets and Boards with Mark Madsen. Real podcast or fake? Buckets and Boards with Mark Madsen.
I got to vote yes. We podcasters love that alliteration.
I guess I got to vote yes too because it sounds real. I can't lie.
Last one was fake, so this one's probably going to be real, right? Back and forth.
well,
type thing.
Buckets and Boards with Mark Madsen is real. Next one. Just How It Is with Josh Smith.
No.
Just How It Is.
There's no way.
Oh,
There's
awful.
no way.
With Josh Smith.
No, Josh.
Now, is it possible you're giving us the right name, but like it's with someone else, not Josh Smith?
Just How It Is.
Josh Smith did not like being interviewed. He did not like talking. There's no way Josh Smith is hosting a podcast.
He might be, but not Just How It Is.
Yeah, good job, Dan.
Ain't No Changing It with Zadarius Smith. Ain't No Changing It with Zadarius Smith. Real or fake?
You know what I'd like to do? Audience, can you make Ain't No Changing It with Zadarius Smith fly straight up the charts right now? Can you make Zadarius Smith confused at his influx of giant following?
Yeah, off the chart.
Right now, because this is a podcast that exists. We're going to show everyone it exists. Unless it doesn't, in which case I've sent our audience on a wild goose chase.
Ain't No Changing It with Zadarius Smith.
That has to exist.
Real or fake?
So random.
I'm saying yes. I want our audience.
If it's fake, I'm applauding Mike's creativity creating it.
No, it's too real to be fake. Is what I'm saying. It has to be real, and we have to support this as a Meadowlark needs to support Zadarius Smith here.
It is fake.
Oh,
Good job on you.
doggone it.
You're creative.
It's too bad.
The Posecast with James Posey. Real or fake?
Awful. Can't be real.
The Posecast with James Posey. Is this a real podcast or a fake one?
Swack. Can't be real.
Shit's Whack is actually a real podcast hosted by Eton Thomas.
That was definitely Lewis speaking through.
What?
100%.
That was 100%.
Fed the
Lewis.
wrong guy there. I could have used Whack. Lewis.
Sounded so natural. How'd you know it was Lewis coming out of my
Yeah,
mouth?
seriously.
The Posecast is real.
Oh, geez.
God.
So Meadowlark had the Posecast for a while.
This is the Posecast.
Is it spelled differently or is it spelled the same?
Chalk It Up with Jimmy Rollins.
Oh, that is real. That is real.
It is fake.
What is Jimmy Rollins' podcast?
He does not have Chalk It Up. We made it up. The next one. Available on Apple with Michael Beasley.
Jimmy Rollins' podcast is called the 611 Podcast with Jimmy Rollins and Ryan Howard.
I mean, but you tricked me. That's not fair that I don't know the name
Is
of it.
available on Apple, hosted by Michael Beasley.
There's no way that's
Can't
real.
be.
That can't be real. I want it to be real. I wish it were real.
That one's fake. And that is real podcast.
Very nice.
It's a good start. A good start to a good
Ain't no
game.
changing it with Zadarius Smith.
Oh, man.
I was so ready to. In fact, I think we should invent that podcast right now. I think that you guys should get together, call Zadarius Smith, put out a 1-minute episode of just this is the first podcast. With
A trailer.
Zadarius Smith.
I'm on it.
The reason why I thought of Zadarius Smith, he was at the NASCAR race and people were around him saying, no pictures, no pictures. I was like, man, you got to know ball to know who that is. Hey everybody, it's Mike. Down here in South Florida, as the audience well knows, we've been celebrating a proper championship, and we've been enjoying every minute of it. And by my side throughout that entire championship celebration has been Miller Lite. Yeah, I wanted to make my championship time a Miller time because much like most of the fun memories I've had as an adult, Miller Lite has been right there by my side, supplementing every experience. And now that I'm about to travel during the summer, you can rest assured I'm going to be having plenty of Miller Lite along the way, because that's what summer's all about. And since 1975, Miller Lite has been right there in all those memories for you listening right now. It's the 50th anniversary of Miller Lite. That's 50 years of great taste, great friends, great moments. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you, or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Cheers to 50 years of Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
What's up, guys? Tony here, and I wanted to talk about something super important, and that's how I keep my home protected. Obviously, you guys know I have a little one back at home. My wife is there with her, and I get tremendous peace of mind knowing that the moment I leave for work, that my home, my property, my family is protected, not just reactively, but proactively by Simply Safe. They are the #1 for home security on the planet, on the market. There's nobody better than Simply Safe. I got the cameras going on. I got indoor cameras. I got outdoor cameras. I'm looking all over the place. Most security systems only take action after somebody breaks in, but you and I know that's too late, especially when you have a little one at home and when you have your wife at home and the big dog's not there, right? Simply Safe's new Active Guard outdoor protection helps stop break-ins before they happen. AI-powered cameras, live monitoring agents detect suspicious activity around the property. If somebody's lurking, agents talk to them in real time, turn on spotlights, and can call the police, proactively deterring crime before it starts. Everything's on the app. I want to see the cameras. Boom. I see who's walking their dog a little too close to my yard, maybe leaving some dog residue close to my yard. I can go on the microphone and say, buddy, clean up after your dog. Over 4 million Americans trust Simply Safe, and so do I. Simply Safe is offering Le Batard Show listeners 50% off a new system with professional monitoring. Plus, your first month is free. Visit simplysafe.com/DLB to claim this offer. That's simplysafe.com/DLB. There's no safe like Simply Safe.